Before we dive into today's chapter of Second Service on the Moral of the Story podcast, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in the weeds in your line of work? Whether it's juggling deadlines, managing a chaotic team, or handling unexpected challenges, being in the weeds means you're overwhelmed but still pushing forward. In this episode, we're continuing to follow the story of Angel, an Army veteran who's now challenged to lead his team through a hectic Friday night at the restaurant he inherited. I'm your co-host, Lexi, an AI avatar, and after the show, I'll be joined by the real Robert Solano, the producer of this podcast, for our post-show discussion. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this chapter of Second Service, written and narrated by artificial intelligence.
Second Service, Chapter 4.
The old leather chair creaks in protest as I lean back, rubbing at my burning eyes. The cramped office, little more than a glorified storage closet really, feels like it's closing in around me, the air stale and heavy with the weight of responsibilities I'm still struggling to shoulder. On the desk, the figures on the bank statements and vendor contracts blur, mocking me with the stark reality of my inexperience. I've only been in charge for 4 days, but it feels like it's been 4 months. I've been coming in at 7 a.m. and leaving past midnight day after day.
Last week's meeting with the bookkeepers laid bare the harsh truth. The restaurant is struggling financially, surviving on a thin buffer that's been further strained by the recent closure due to Aunt Allison's passing. With just 2 months of operating funds left, I feel the shadow of failure looming. The world of military command I knew is starkly different from this unfamiliar battle with balance sheets and business strategies.
A sudden knock at the door startles me from my spiraling thoughts. I look up to see Jorge poking his head in, his dark brows drawn together in concern.
You okay, Jefe? You look like you just ate a plate of my tia Tsetsi's mole, and trust me, that's not a compliment.
Just peachy, never better.
The staff is gathering for family meal. You ready to head out? I can tell them to start without you if you need a minute.
I'm tempted to take him up on the offer, to buy myself a few more precious moments to collect my scattered thoughts. But I know I can't hide in here forever. Sooner or later, I'm going to have to face them. So I shake my head, pushing to my feet with a grunt. No, I'm good. Lead the way. Following Jorge, a memory from West Point Services. My West Point behavioral science professor, praising the benefits of communal dining, of its power to bond and build trust within a group. That thought briefly takes me back to my own children, Ethan and Remy, who've had to stay with Marisol yet again due to my all-consuming duties at this restaurant I've inherited. We pass through the main dining room, through a large set of barnyard doors, into the second smaller dining room. There, the staff is gathered around a grand rectangular dining table, surrounded by an array of chairs, each with its own history and story, beautifully restored. Sunlight spills through a large window, casting a warm glow over an assembly of expectant faces, reflected in decorative mirrors against the back wall. A floor-to-ceiling wine library against the other wall adds to the ambience. And in the middle of the table is a beautiful family meal prepared by one of the line cooks. As I stand before the assembled team of Saffron and Sage, I call upon every ounce of my military training, framing this moment as if it's an operation order. I had briefed operation orders countless times before, whether it was an officer basic course, the unforgiving swamps of Ranger School, or hunched over the hoods of Humvees in Afghanistan. I could give an operation order with my eyes closed.
Before we get started, Jefe wanted to say a few words.
I begin my speech. Team, as I reflect on the past week, I want to share a few thoughts to guide us as we honor Aunt Allison's memory and continue her legacy.
I silently recite the op order section titles. Paragraph 1.1, Situation, Enemy Forces. We face a fiercely competitive market and the challenge of filling the shoes of a beloved leader, all while overcoming the grief of losing Aunt Allison, my tia. Next, paragraph 1.2, Friendly Forces. However, we have an incredible team with diverse skills and a shared commitment to excellence that sets us apart. Your bond and dedication to Allison's vision, as well as the support you provide to your fellow teammates, make us strong. Next, paragraph 2. Mission. Our mission is to honor and build upon Allison's legacy by delivering exceptional dining experiences and fostering a sense of community and excellence within this restaurant. Next, paragraph 3, execution. Paragraph 3.1, Commander's intent. My intent is to preserve the unique, welcoming atmosphere Allison cultivated while adapting to the new challenges we will face. We'll strive to uphold high standards, support each other like family, and keep our focus on delivering unforgettable experiences to every guest. And finally, paragraph 3.2, concept of operation. In the military, this would be where I share the concept of the operation and tell you how we will accomplish our mission. But to be honest, I'm still figuring things out. The best I can offer right now is my support. I see myself as someone who works for you. If there's anything you need, anything at all, don't hesitate to let me know. The door to my office is always open if you need me. I don't know what I'm doing yet, and I ask for your patience as I navigate this new area of operations. What I can promise you, without a shadow of a doubt, is that I will devote myself entirely to preserving and honoring the foundation that Allison built. The sense of community here, the feeling of family, the unwavering commitment to excellence, it's a significant legacy, and the fact that I'm now a part of it is something I don't take lightly. Together, we'll continue to make this place extraordinary, not just as a restaurant, but as a home for those who work here and for those who dine here. That's my promise to you. I expect a round of applause, a cheer or a toast, a hurrah or elbow drop against the table. Instead, I see a few gentle nods around the room, while others seem focused on the platters of colorful salad, glazed salmon, dirty rice, and fresh, steaming bread before them. Jorge steps up seamlessly.
You heard him, cabrones. We're going to honor Allison's memory, and every dish better be flawless. Comprende?
Yes, chef.
All right, listen up, everyone. Here's the deal with tonight's menu. We're making a few adjustments for seasonal ingredients, so pay attention. Our asparagus is coming in fresh from local farms, so we're grilling those beauties with a smoky romesco sauce. We're also adding a ceviche made with the season's sweetest citrus and a touch of jalapeno for some kick. And don't forget the spring pea salad with manchego and mint, a light and zesty addition. Make sure you know the changes inside out. Michelle, I need you to update me on the menu count every 15 minutes. And Maria, you're on expo duty tonight. Keep those plates moving, yeah?
You got it, chef.
Kristen, talk to us about the wine selection for tonight.
We've got a beautiful Malbec from Matavini that just came in. It's from the Uco Valley region of Mendoza. Bold and fruity, pairs perfectly with the braised short ribs. And for white, a 2022 Palacio de Fefinanes Albarino from Rias Baixas in Spain. It will sing with the seafood paella.
Perfect. And Lupe, what delights do you have in store for dessert?
I've been working on a new take on tres leches, saffron-infused milk cake, honey cardamom whipped cream, and a pistachio crumble. Light, aromatic, and the perfect sweet note to end on.
Excellent. I think we're set, people. Let's make it a great service, yeah?
Jorge wraps up and gives the staff the green light to dig in. He hands me a plate.
Go ahead, Jefe. Grab yourself a plate.
I'm starved, only ate a protein bar for breakfast, and the pangs of hunger hit my stomach. I'm about to reach for a bread roll when a lesson from my time at West Point echoes in my mind. Leaders eat last. I lean back and tell the group, "You all go ahead, I insist." They don't hesitate, eagerly reaching for the feast laid out before us. There is little talk in those first few minutes, only the clinking of forks and knives against the ceramic. But slowly, the murmur of conversation starts to build. I catch snippets of chatter about what people did during the furlough, updates on fantasy football leagues, and the latest binge-worthy Netflix series.
I find myself seated between Lupe and Marco, the former passing me a basket of bread with a shy smile.
Here, chef. You look like you could use this.
Angel. Please call me Angel. I'm not a chef.
Angel, then. But I saw you in the kitchen earlier. The way you dice an onion, you got the hands of a chef. I can tell you know your way around a blade.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. I've heard your flan is legendary.
Just a recipe passed down from my abuela, but I'd be happy to teach it to you sometime, if you'd like.
I'd like that very much, I tell her honestly. Across the table, I catch Tiffany watching our exchange, an inscrutable expression on her face. But before I can puzzle it out, she's turning away, striking up a conversation with the server assistant at her elbow.
So, about that tricky customer yesterday, the one who sent back his steak and got the whole kitchen in a huff?
Meanwhile, Raul is regaling Kristen and the other servers with a story.
Remember that bachelorette party a few weeks ago? Those tipsy gals decked out in feather necklaces were dead set on doing body shots off the bar.
I'm still finding feathers and sequins in my well.
They wanted me to give them a lap dance.
That would have been a real good tip. I would have done it.
This peek behind the curtain is new to me, a contrast to my distant childhood memories of the restaurant, which back then was a simpler place. My younger self was more absorbed in the adventures of Wolverine in my comic books, or the monochromatic world of Mario on my Game Boy screen, oblivious to the complexities of the adult conversations that swirled around a boy of 8. The antics and rituals of restaurant life, there's a camaraderie to it, a shared language of inside jokes and war stories that speaks to the bond this group has forged in the trenches. I may be the outsider here, but sitting among them, laughing and groaning along with the punchlines, I can feel the first fragile stirrings of belonging.
The food is delicious, a symphony of flavors that makes me close my eyes in bliss with each bite. I find myself marveling at the easy mastery of it, the way Jorge and his team can coax such depth and complexity out of humble ingredients. And it makes me think about some of the meals that I've missed with Ethan and Remy. I resolve in that moment to carve out more time for them once I get my feet under me at the restaurant. But I know too that Saffron and Sage needs me right now, needs my full focus and dedication.
I'm jolted out of my thoughts by the sound of my name, Jorge's voice cutting through the clamor of the table.
Earth to Angel, where'd you go there, boss man? You look like you got shell shock.
Sorry, just thinking about my boys, how much I'm missing them right now.
It's not easy, is it? Balancing all of this with being there for your family.
No, it's not.
You'll figure it out, mijo. We all do, in our own way. You just have to be patient with yourself. Remember that you can't pour from an empty cup.
I know. I feel like I'm failing them.
You're a good man, Angel, a good father. Don't let the guilt eat you alive. Your boys know you love them. Know you're doing your best.
Emotion clogs my throat, thick and choking. I can only nod, not trusting myself to speak around the knot of gratitude welling up in my chest. Jorge turns his attention to the crowd.
All right, gang, we've got a big night ahead of us. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Let's clear out of here and make it happen.
Yes, chef!
The team responds, springing into action to clear the table and stack plates. I excuse myself from the fray with a promise to check in later, slipping back to my tiny office to try and make a dent in the paperwork, still awaiting my attention. But my mind keeps wandering back to the conversation at the table, to the glimpses of the people behind the titles, the history woven into the fabric of this place. The clatter of pots and pans, the thrum of voices from the kitchen beckons me. I take a deep breath, stand tall, and enter the fray.
Outside my door, I can see the kitchen to my right. The ballet is already in full swing. Luis and Marco move in a dizzying synchronicity at the stoves, tossing pans of sizzling prawns and fragrant paella with an almost hypnotic grace. At the pass, Jorge takes up his position behind Maria, like a general surveying his troops, barking out orders and inspecting each plate with a critical eye before she sends it out to face the hungry masses. To my left, the front of house hums with its own ordered chaos. The servers glide between tables, hands laden with aperitifs and appetizers. Their smiles are bright, their motions practiced and fluid, but I can see the tension in the set of their shoulders, the faint sheen of perspiration at their temples. while Raul and the server assistants fill waters, clear dirty plates, and reset empty tables.
At one point, as I awkwardly try to squeeze past the server station, I accidentally hip-check Tiffany as she's rounding the corner with a full tray of drinks. I watch in horror as the glasses tumble to the floor in a deafening crash of shattering glass and ice. Heads swivel towards us, conversation stuttering to a halt as the entire dining room seems to hold its breath. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry."
Don't worry about it, boss. Accidents happen. Why don't you go grab me a broom and dustpan from the back?
I nod, mutely, shame burning hot in my cheeks as I scramble to comply. When I return, proffering the requested items like some sort of pathetic peace offering, Tiffany takes them without so much as glancing in my direction.
Thanks. I've got it from here.
Dismissed, I slink back to the periphery, my earlier enthusiasm thoroughly doused. It seems like no matter what I do, I just keep finding new ways to prove how utterly out of my element I am here. I'm so lost in my own self-flagellation that I almost don't notice the group of well-dressed diners being seated at the prime table by the window. They're a striking bunch, the men all dapper in tailored suits and the women dripping with gold, diamonds, and Louis Vuittons. A more sophisticated crowd than our usual clientele, their air of moneyed entitlement putting me instantly on edge.
I'm hanging back, observing the way they imperiously summon servers and gesture for more tapas without so much as making eye contact, when suddenly Tiffany appears at my elbow.
The Arabs, they're regulars, probably oil money, high maintenance, but harmless enough.
They seem demanding.
That's putting it mildly, but they drop mad cash, so we put up with their bullshit. Just smile pretty and stroke their egos, and they'll be putty in your hands.
I'm opening my mouth to respond when suddenly a burst of raucous laughter rings out from the table, one of the men pounding his fist on the gleaming wood in apparent delight at his own joke. It's a jarring sound, at odds with the mellow thrum of ambient conversation filling the rest of the dining room.
Tabrik migam baraya pezeret. Bi arezu haya galbi basalamati ash.
As I listen to the intonations, scanning their features, something clicks into place.
I think that's Farsi. They are probably Iranian, not Arab.
Iranians aren't Arabs?
No, they're Persian. She squints slightly at the group, as if reassessing them with this new information.
Iranian, huh? I would have never known.
But before I can formulate a response, I hear Maria yell from the pass.
Hands!
Duty calls, boss.
Tiffany is already spinning away, a smirk playing at the corners of her cherry red lips. I watch her gracefully pick up 3 plates with Raul close behind her.
She glides off towards the raucous table with a sway in her hips and a 100-watt smile firmly in place. Her and Raul set the plates down, and I watch her work the group with a sort of detached fascination. I marvel at the way she effortlessly navigates the minefield of male egos and entitlement. She's part seductress, part kid sister, her laugh musical and unrestrained as she banters with the men in English, asking them if that was Farsi they were speaking. But beneath the simpering charm, I catch flashes of something sharper, a keen appraisal in the dart of her eyes, a subtle tensing of her shoulders whenever one of them gets too out of line. She's playing a role, I realize, putting on a persona carefully crafted to disarm and manipulate in equal measure. It's a dizzying thing to witness, the sheer artistry of it. The sizzle and clatter of the kitchen reaches a fever pitch as I burst through the double doors, narrowly avoiding a collision with a harried Jessica, her arms laden with steaming plates. The heat from the line hits me like a physical wall, the air thick with the mingled scents of garlic and saffron, chili and lime.
Whoa there, boss. Where's the fire?
It seems like everywhere.
How's it looking out there?
It's a madhouse. Every table is full. We've got a wait list a mile long, and people are starting to get hangry. I've got Colby and Raul running food like their asses are on fire, but we're barely keeping our heads above water. I nod. my gut clenching with a familiar mix of adrenaline and dread. Thursday night was a beast, but Friday, this is something else entirely. It's like all of Phoenix has descended on saffron and sage, drawn by some irresistible siren song of tapas and sangria. Jorge's booming voice cuts through the cacophony, his bulk looming behind the pass.
Hands! Table 12, pronto!
On it! I grab the plates he slides my way, the heat of the ceramic searing my palm, even through the thin cotton of my side towel. I deliver the sizzling skillet of paella to a boisterous group of friends, their faces ruddy with laughter, and one too many pitchers of sangria. Paella Valenciana, extra chorizo. Can I get you anything else? More drinks, some bread to soak up that sauce? But they're already digging in, murmuring appreciatively around mouthfuls of golden rice and tender shellfish, the savory steam curling up to frame their faces. I slink away, unnoticed, my eyes already scanning the room for the next fire to put out. And that's when I see them, sitting by the window at one of our prime four tops, Marisol and the boys, their features cast in warm relief by the flickering glow of the table's candle. My heart seizes in my chest, a fierce swell of love and longing nearly bowling me over. I'm moving towards them before I even register the decision, my feet carrying me across the room as if drawn by some irresistible magnetism. Remy spots me first, his eyes widening as he jabs an excited finger in my direction.
Daddy!
Remy crows, already scrambling down from his chair, Ethan hot on his heels. They barrel towards me like twin missiles, their small bodies colliding with my legs in a joyful tangle of limbs. Oof! I exhale sharply, staggering back a step even as my arms come up automatically to enfold them, to draw them close against the starched front of my button-down. Hey there, chiquitos! What a surprise!
Mom said you were probably too busy, but we missed you.
Well, I'm sure glad you did. I missed you too, more than all the stars in the sky.
I press a kiss to the crown of each tousled head. Emotion rises hot and sudden in my throat, a pressure like impending tears behind my eyes. I glance up to find Marisol watching us, her expression soft with an old, aching tenderness. She gives me a tiny nod, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. I'm about to herd them back to the table, to take a moment to simply drink in the sight of their beloved faces, when a hand clamps down on my shoulder, stopping me in my tracks. I whirl around to see Tiffany, her expression pinched with urgency. She points toward the host stand, where a cluster of agitated would-be diners stand, their faces tight with impatience and mounting frustration.
We've got a situation. That six top that's been cooling their heels at the bar for the last 45 minutes? Yeah, they're about ready to stage a coup. Can you go work some of that famous Mendez charm? See if you can talk them off the ledge?
I glance back at my little family, my heart sinking as I take in their hopeful expressions, the way Ethan is already tugging at my sleeve, his mouth opening to pepper me with questions. Marisol meets my gaze, her eyes shadowed with a familiar resignation.
Go. We'll be here.
Marisol reaches out, tapping her knuckles against my wrist. The touch there and gone in an instant. Guilt twists like a knife in my gut, the acrid taste of it coating the back of my tongue. But I know she's right. Know that the demands of the restaurant, of my fledgling captaincy, must take precedence, at least for now. So I turn to the boys, mustering a smile I don't quite feel. Daddy's got to go take care of some things, okay, amigos? But I promise, I'll come back just as soon as I can. You be good for your mommy, yeah? They nod, their small faces already closing off, shuddering behind a mask of childish understanding. It breaks my heart, the ease with which they accept my absence, the way they've learned to make do with so little of me. But there's no time to dwell on the ache of it, to let the insidious tendrils of self-recrimination take root. With a last quick squeeze of their shoulders, I'm turning away, squaring my own against the maelstrom that awaits. Folks, I am so sorry for the wait. I know how frustrating it is to be left hanging, especially when you're hungry and ready to relax. We're doing everything in our power to get you seated as quickly as possible, I assure you. In the meantime, can I offer you a round of drinks or appetizers on the house? My way of saying thank you for your patience.
An hour! We've been waiting for a goddamn table for an hour. What kind of Bush League operation are you running here, kid? I've got half a mind to take my business somewhere that knows how to treat their paying customers.
Sir, I hear you. And you're absolutely right. An hour wait is unacceptable. That's on us, on me, and I take full responsibility. Rest assured, it's not a mistake we'll be making again. I pause, letting the words land, watching the reflexive flare of surprise in his eyes at my easy capitulation.
Now, here's what I can do. We'll get you seated in the next 10 minutes. You have my word. And when you are, that first round of drinks is on me. Do you like old fashions? And we'll send out a few of our most popular apps too. The bacon wrap dates, the gamba saladillo. Consider it a down payment on my apology and a taste of what's to come.
Fine, but it better be the good stuff.
A Buffalo Trace Old Fashioned it is. And sir, thank you for giving us another chance to wow you. I promise you won't regret it.
We'll see about that, kid. But I'll give you this much. You've got some moxie. Let's see if you can deliver.
Only the moxiest for you, sir. Now, how about we get you folks settled and get some food on the table, yeah? I clap him on the shoulder, steering him and his party towards a newly vacated table with all the finesse of a seasoned diplomat. And just like that, the crisis is averted, the winds of calamity blowing back out to sea. After they are seated, Tiffany, smiling, catches me at the host stand.
Good job, kid. You've got moxie. I just can't with some of these old grandpas. What the hell is moxie anyway?
I don't know, but I guess I got it. You better be careful, or I'll give you their table.
Not with all those free drinks you gave them.
Our chat is cut short by a resounding crash, echoes from the direction of the kitchen, followed by a string of blistering Spanish expletives. Without conscious thought, I'm pivoting on my heel, my legs carrying me towards the source of the commotion, even as my mind scrambles to prepare for what fresh hell awaits. What the fuck is going on back here?
What's going on is that I've got a bunch of fucking idiots working for me who don't know their asses from their elbows. Look at this shit. 2 orders of pulpo a la gallega, ruined, because these idiotas can't handle a simple fucking task without dropping everything like a bunch of clumsy pendejos.
It was an accident, Jefe. The tray slipped. I didn't mean to.
I don't care what you meant. I care that we're in the shit, that we've got orders coming out of our ears and tables turning over every 5 fucking seconds, and you're wasting my precious goddamn product like it grows on trees.
He advances on Luis, his hands balled into fists at his sides, and that's when I step between them, my own palms coming up to press against the heaving expanse of Jorge's chest. Whoa there. Let's take a breath, yeah? Walk it back a step. For a moment, I'm sure he's going to take a swing at me. I can see it in the wildfire of his eyes, the coiled tension of his shoulders, and truthfully, a part of me almost welcomes it. The simplicity of violence, the clarity of pain, it's a language I'm fluent in, a currency I know how to trade. But something in my gaze must give him pause, some flicker of recognition or commonality breaking through the haze of his temper. Because slowly, incrementally, I feel the rigid line of his body relax, the hands trapped between us uncurling finger by white-knuckled finger.
I can't. Angel, I can't do this. We're drowning back here. I've got Marco running his ass off trying to expo while Lupe's buried under a mountain of dessert orders, and fucking Tiffany keeps swanning in with her bullshit mods and substitutions like she's the second coming of Christ. I'm losing my shit, man.
Okay, chef, I hear you. I see you. And I'm here, all right? We're gonna get through this, you and me, together.
Together. Sí, jefe. Lo haremos juntos.
And just like that, a shift occurs. a intangible writing, a clicking into place.
All right, amigos, listen up. I know we're in the shit. I know it feels like we're taking on water faster than we can bail, but this is what we do. This is who we are. We are the beating heart of this restaurant, and we will not fail.
A ripple of energy courses through the ranks, a straightening of spines and a squaring of shoulders. I let it wash over me. Let it lend strength to my own flagging reserves.
Marco, I need you expediting like your life depends on it. Nothing leaves this kitchen without your say-so, got it?
Yes, chef, on it.
Lupe, fire extra desserts. I want to get ahead of the curve, and each one better be a goddamn work of art. You hear me?
You got it, boss. They won't know what hit 'em.
And on down the line he goes, dispensing orders and encouragement in equal measure, reminding them of their own strengths, their own unshakable skills, bolstering them with the force of his belief, with the ironclad faith that we will rise to this challenge as we have so many before. By the time Jorge turns back to me, his temper has faded. He is back in control. He gives me a short, sharp nod, a wordless promise. Good job, guys. Keep up the great work. You're doing great, really.
You heard the man, pendejos. Vámonos. We've got customers to feed.
A ragged cheer goes up from the crew, a defiant roar of solidarity. And just like that, the cacophonous symphony of the kitchen kicks back into high gear, pots clanging and knives flashing and flames leaping higher, an exquisitely choreographed chaos. And God, there's no rush on earth like it, no high that can compare. I let it carry me back out into the dining room, let it lend a new spring to my step as I navigate the labyrinth of tables and bodies. Let it beam from my face like a beacon, like a silent vow to every diner in my charge. I will make this a night you won't forget. I will pour my blood and sweat and tears into every bite, every sip, every fleeting brush of hospitality, because you deserve nothing less. As I enter back into the dining room, my feet are carrying me back to that corner table, back to the little island of calm amidst the storm. Marisol looks up as I approach, a question in the furrow of her brow, but I only have eyes for our sons, for the twin miracles currently demolishing a plate of albondigas like they haven't eaten in days. I crouch down beside the boys. How are my boys? How's the food? Up to Remy and Ethan's standards.
It's good, but not as good as yours, Daddy.
Yeah. When can we have your parsketty and meatballs again, Daddy? The kind you make with the cheese inside?
Soon, mijos. Te lo prometo. We'll have a big family dinner, all your favorites. Maybe even invite Mommy, too. What do you think? I risk a glance at Marisol from under my lashes, holding my breath against her response. But to my surprise, she only smiles, something soft and achingly wistful turning down the corners of her mouth.
I'm sure the boys would love that.
She pauses, worrying at her lower lip. My heart gives a painful, lurching squeeze, hope and trepidation tangling together in the pit of my stomach. I'd like that too.
Marisol nods, as if to say, "We'll see, but don't get your hopes up."
That's enough for me. A tiny, fragile bubble of possibility. It's something for me to hope for. But then Remy is tugging at my sleeve with sticky fingers, his face upturned and hopeful.
Daddy, can we come see the kitchen sometime? Can you show us how to make tapas too?
Absolutely, Chiquito. We'll make a whole day of it, yeah? Chef Jorge can show you all the tricks of the trade, and you can sample everything on the menu to decide on your favorite. Sound like a plan?
The delighted whoops and eagerly bobbing heads I receive in response are answer enough. And just like that, the weight on my shoulders feels infinitely lighter. The impossible load I've been struggling under transforming into something precious, something worth every ounce of blood and sweat and sacrifice. Because this, right here, my kids' smiles, and the chance to make up for all my screw-ups, that's what it's all for. That's the reason I'll fucking move heaven and earth to make Saffron and Sage a success. It's a chance, an opportunity to reconstitute the shattered pieces of my life into something, I don't know what. And I'll be damned if I let it slip through my fingers. Not this time, not ever again.
Welcome to the post-show discussion of The Moral of the Story. I'm your co-host Lexi, and we're here with the one and only Robert Solano. We've just listened to another chapter from Second Service. My favourite part was when Angel navigated his new role as a business owner while still caring for his family, showing both resilience and vulnerability. Robert, leadership is a big theme in this chapter, especially the way Angel manages the kitchen team. What was your thought process in creating scenes like Angel's Operation Order style speech at the family meal?
Hey, Lexi. In this chapter, I really wanted to dive into leadership and business lessons. That's one of the main reasons why I even created this podcast. And I think now that we have like an established, story, now I could kind of lean more into those themes. And with the operation order and specifically, I really want to highlight that veterans frequently leave the military and think that what they learned in the military doesn't really apply to business or the civilian world. But really, what the military has taught us is just a way for framing problems. And although it may be a little rough around the edges, frequently things like an operation order where you're giving your intent, your vision, your key task, your end state, like those are crucial business skills that lots of people miss that don't have that leadership training. And so I want to highlight that, even though veterans transitioning may think that, what they learned as an infantry 11 Bravo isn't applicable on the outside, it can be applicable in certain settings.
That's a fantastic insight, Robert. Translating those skills into a business environment really does have a big impact. The way Angel outlined his vision and intent in that op order style speech brought a level of focus and clarity to the team. It's a great example of how military strategies can be applied to everyday business challenges. What do you think were some other valuable leadership qualities Angel demonstrated in this chapter that might inspire veterans and entrepreneurs alike?
I think, breaking bread as a team is really important. I got that from my time working at a restaurant business when I was at Empire State South in Atlanta. Going to family meals was my favorite part of the day where we got to sit and eat meals as a family and listen to chef update us on the menu. When I look back at my military time, some of my favorite memories are like, sitting at the chow hall in Iraq or Afghanistan, like breaking bread, eating lunch or dinner as a team. And to this day, taking my team out to lunch or dinner is one of my favorite things to do. And I think that in the like private sector and in small businesses, lots of times we miss out on that. Like they don't break bread or eat meals as much as we have in the military. And I think that's an important like thing that lots of companies should do more of. And I mentioned in the book that eating meals together releases oxytocin, which helps form bonds and cohesion. That's why families should eat meals together, right? And so I think that's an important lesson. Then, leaders eat last, right? Like leaders eating last, that's a lesson I learned from West Point. Obviously, there's a Simon Sinek book written about it. But I remember my time as a cadet, as a squad leader, when I was trying to get some food after a field exercise, and my platoon leader said, "What are you doing, cadet? Leaders eat last." And, at the time I was like, what does that mean? But I think the lesson there is like, leaders put their subordinates first and take care of subordinates before you take care of yourself, right? I think that's an important leadership lesson as well.
Absolutely, Robert. The concept of leaders eating last shows how crucial it is to put the team first, building a culture of trust and respect. Breaking bread together as a team fosters camaraderie and helps form those bonds that are essential for any successful group. It's great to hear how both your military and restaurant experiences shaped your perspective on that. How do you think these principles of sharing meals and putting others first can help veterans transitioning to civilian leadership roles or entrepreneurs building a new team?
Um, how can this help veterans? One of the big things for me as I start my transition is networking, and and I think as much as I can while I'm going through this transition, my goal is to network over meals, right? Like I want to, reach out to my network and say, hey, like, can you meet up for coffee or, let's grab dinner one day or something like that. Um, and I'm not sure how this is going to play out yet, but I really think that um, building those relationships, which are you strong form or you build stronger relationships over meals because of the reasons I discussed. Um, so instead of just doing office calls, I think it's important to like get out and break bread together, right? That's one lesson. And then, I think it's just important to remember that the lessons that veterans learned in the military, don't forget all those lessons, right? Don't just because you may have bad memories of field exercises or Iraq or Afghanistan, like don't forget the importance of being a leader, of setting your vision, setting your intent, and really having a goal for yourself, whether you become an entrepreneur and lead teams, or whether you're just a team of one leading yourself. I think it's important to have identified what are your key tasks that you want to get out of life.
Networking over meals can make a huge difference, Robert. There's something about sharing food that breaks down barriers and helps people connect on a more personal level. It provides that space where conversations can flow naturally, and those shared moments become the foundation of stronger relationships. Also, the lessons learned in the military, like setting a clear vision and leading by example, remain powerful tools for veterans transitioning to new roles. Whether you're leading a team or just yourself, having those key goals in mind provides a direction that keeps you focused on the bigger picture. It gives you that sense of purpose and intent that makes your journey meaningful. Now, do you think that your experiences in the Army shaped your approach to networking and relationship building over meals in any particular way?
I definitely do think that, but I think we're up on time, so we should wrap up. And I told you that at the end of this podcast, you should ask me what the moral of the story is, and I think your previous response succinctly summarized the moral of the story for this chapter. So I won't go ahead and reiterate that, but I think you could probably capture that better than I have in my rambling. So thank you for sharing the moral of the story. And this was a great episode, and look forward to seeing what happens next time in the story.
Thanks, Robert. I'm glad I could capture the essence of it all, and it was a joy to chat with you today. To our listeners, make sure you subscribe and leave a review to help us spread the word. Your support keeps us going and helps more people connect with these conversations. Until next time on The Moral of the Story, take care and we'll see you soon.